as well as mentors who are participating in this session. It's always a pleasure and a privilege for me to be able to connect with you all and the ATL Innovation Mission team on our regular Friday sessions, the webinar sessions, which were launched actually during the COVID-19 times, but which has now become a fixture and something that everybody anticipates on a weekly basis. As all of you are aware, the ATL Innovation Mission primary purpose is how do you create a culture of innovation across the country at school level, at the university level, at the institutional level, and at the industry level, in every state, in every district, and across the nation. And the second thing is how do you create an ecosystem of entrepreneurship that will allow young, brilliant minds like you all, young, innovative students, to give expression to your creativity and your innovative capability and your internal talents, flower and find expression as a startup or as an entrepreneurial initiative. Because after all, our country, which is 1.3 billion people, needs you young innovators who are going to define and redefine the future of our country. You are the young dreamers who are going to architect new India. And it is through your innovations that India will progress, both from a societal point of view as well as from an economic point of view. You are part of that demographic dividend that we all talk about, youthful energy that is going to reverberate across the rest of the world because of the impact that you will create. And so I just want every one of you to thank you for participating in the innovation revolution that is being created at a school level. The ATL Tinkering Labs is the first initiative at a school level to be able to promote a culture of innovation and problem solving and an innovative mindset in all of you. And towards this end, we have been launching many initiatives, including the Tinkering Labs, with which you are able to work and play with the latest of technologies, 3D printers, robotics, IoT, miniaturized electronics, augmented virtual reality. But in the last few months, in the Tinker from Home modules, we also introduced several new things. Along with NASSCOM, we introduced the AI, artificial intelligence, basic and step-up modules. We introduced 3D design along with Collab CAD, a software product that helps you to design for 3D printers. We then launched game development programs along with Dell Technologies. We launched app development modules along with Plezmo Technologies. We also launched creativity and digital skills modules along with Adobe. So our industry partners have been playing a tremendous role in helping ATL Innovation Mission and also helping every one of you to become familiar with emerging technologies which are shaping the world. And the app development modules that we launched just a few months ago had tremendous reception from every one of you. We had more than 50,000 students registering for the app development module. We also had teachers and mentors participate in that, and they too registered in large numbers. And all of this led us to launching the ATL Innovation Mission App Development Challenge along with NASSCOM and our industry partners who are all represented here. I'm delighted today to welcome a very distinguished panel of people who have helped not only ATL Innovation Mission in coming up with the challenges and partnering with us, but who are going to be there to share with you their insights, their views, their observations, their experiences about what innovation and app development is all about and why is it so important. And all of these organizations are also supporting us, and they're going to be supporting you as we identify promising innovations, promising apps that are developed in the various sectors and challenges that we have thrown. They will be helping you to give shape to your imagination into a final product that is worthy of even marketing or being launched into the market. So that is what we are going to talk about. And today I am very, very happy to welcome a few people who are on the panel, very distinguished people. First and foremost, Mr. Kanishka Agrawal. He is the head of artificial intelligence of India and South Asia from Amazon Web Services. Now, there is nobody who doesn't know about Amazon. Probably you're buying all your stuff on Amazon. All the businesses and startups are using Amazon Web Services. So he is present today, and Amazon is working closely with ATL Innovation Mission, and Amazon Web Services is working closely with ATL Innovation Mission and the Niti Aayog in number of initiatives, not only for ATL Innovation Mission, but in the larger context. We are also having Mr. Nirbhay Lumde, Director of CSR Asia Pacific from CGI. CGI is a global organization in IT services and solutions, very well known and very well established for leveraging advanced technology for creating solutions for its customers. We are delighted to have Mr. Nirbhay to be present here today. Thank you, Mr. Nirbhay, for being part of this panel discussion. We also have Ms. Nishigandha Palshikar, who is the head of education in Plezmo. As all of you are aware, and she has been a familiar figure to many of the students who have undergone the app development learning modules. She's been associated with Plezmo and has helped us in launching the app development modules, both for the students as well as for the teachers. Thank you, Nishigandha, for being part of this very important discussion. We have Mr. Rahul Lodhe, who is the Senior Director, SAP Artificial Intelligence, SAP Labs. SAP is a global name known for tremendously innovative work that they have done in the ERP sector, and then they have transgressed into many other areas of software development and product development. SAP is used by almost every large company, whether it is manufacturing or whether it is retail, whether it is hospitals and so on and so forth. SAP is now doing tremendous amount of support for ATL Innovation Mission. They have adopted over 100 tinkering labs, and they've also been a very important partner in conducting teacher training programs across the country. And finally, we have Mr. Dhrupal Shah, CEO and co-founder of STEMpedia. Dhrupal has been instrumental in helping ATL Innovation Mission and NASSCOM in launching the AI Learn It Yourself modules, as well as the Do It Yourself module, the Step Up module, as well as the basic modules. And so we cannot have a better panel to discuss about what this app development challenge is all about. So let me start off with Rahul. Rahul, tell me something about a little about your own personal journey. You know, we want everyone to get inspired by your own personal innovation journey. And what do you see as the importance of this app development challenge, and how should students approach it?
Yeah, thank you, sir. So I'm honored to be part of this distinguished panel, and I mean, it's a really great to see what ATL is doing for the students. It's the time that we grew up. You know, I really miss such kind of platform where you're kind of building everything on the technology, and somewhere where we are making it happen on online, and things were very easily consumable for the student. I have been now with industry about 20 years, I would say. I have been, played different role in the industry. So we were discussing before we got started that maybe for student, it's many jargons that you would hear about. But yeah, I also started my career as teaching somewhere as the at that point of time Java and C++. So having some part of teaching to get started with. But nevertheless, when we start getting to the corporates and being the hardcore programmer, started the database administrator and grow from there as the manager, then taking care of engineering lead, and currently looking for the artificial intelligence topics there. The important part is that you always have to be learning curve in the industry. So the moment you're part of a corporate, so the journey that you started now as a student, that you're learning everything new every day, the same zeal would keep you learn the innovative word that today we have. So every day you have to find out what's new thing happening, what does motivate you to make it new thing to do, new thing to build, new thing to explain to people as well. And I think that innovation journey and learning zeal that you would have make happen at this point of time, that's something which is important to take it forward. As far as the app development is concerned, and my experience goes that, and today's trend that we see coming on the app development point of view, I would say there are about 7 to 8 ingredients to make the best app that I would like students to think about whenever they are thinking of building an application. Importantly, the first one is the design approach. Today, as we see, and all of us are also a consumer of these apps. So you feel that is not other product that you are building for someone else, but what kind of a design that you like to have with the app? Do you want it to, navigation free? You want fast building application, how it can be intuitive to me? So all those kind of approaches is very important. And if your design is not right, if your app is not very friendly to look for, I think people will delete it or move for the different apps. So importantly, your design has to be right. Second part, you have to consider the wearable aspects of the application when you are building it. So there has been, I think, 77 million wearable has been delivered in last some, I think, years, and those wearable been moving around everywhere. And we see how this fitness band to start with and tracking things and all those stuff that have been disrupting a lot. Language that you develop has to be simple. So I think Swift is a language that typically used, which came for the iOS initially, also now compatible with different platforms. But Swift is very easy to build language as well when you look forward for building an application. The one other thing that you have to always consider in your app, that you look at the futuristic way of doing it, right? So now you are not building the app for only considering today's situation and what do I have at right this point of time, but also you like to have that interaction with the app from a long-term perspective, right? So how do you build that app? Looking at the IoT aspects of it. Today we know the robots has been changing life. We are getting these wireless lights, the Alexas and Siri, and there are multiple products coming in picture. They transmit data to the mobile app, and many of operations are going to happen via the applications that you like to develop in, or something that you are developing in. So all those aspects are very, very important to when you make the apps as well.
Great. Yeah, great, Rahul. I think you very beautifully summarize the various things that one has to look for. When you're doing an app development, it has to be practical, it has to be relevant. At the same time, it has to be futuristic. And there is an opportunity for ensuring that your innovation, which you're doing, has long-term impact, not just a short-term impact. So how do you conceive an idea and how do you put it into an application that will enable all of this? You also mentioned about the importance of emerging technologies like Siri and wearable technologies and how apps can interact with them. In fact, everyone who has a mobile watch or who has an app watch knows that the mobile interacts with that. When you get a phone call, it intimates you on your iWatch. You are also able to play songs. You're able to speak now to your wristwatch when you get a call and your phone is not next to you. So all of these things happen because of appropriate app development and communication. Now let me come to Kanishka. AWS is all about the cloud, and it means it's all about apps. How does AWS view the app world, and how important it is going forward? I mean, we are all living in a digitally empowered world now, but I'm sure AWS is also helping a whole lot of young innovators to be able to leverage the cloud better. So, can you tell us a little bit about that, and anything about your own personal inspiration in this?
Sure. So maybe I'll start off with what AWS and how we can actually enable this out, right? A lot of, especially the students that are listening in right now, have probably dabbled, played around, possibly built applications on AWS. And they were probably aware that this is a platform where you can start building in applications which are just a regular mobile interface, scaling it up to an IoT, to an artificial intelligence or a machine learning module plugged in, to real-time video analytics on it, the ability for you to actually use all of that data and do a lot of data segmentation, analyze that, and then put out maybe a next best product around it. Or rather, as we call it, AWS is the minimum lovable product. Okay, a lot of people say minimum viable product. We say it's the lovable product that we want to bring in. But the jokes apart, the essence is that at any point at which Rahul was also mentioning, is that when you build out these apps, right, the platform that you will leverage, in this case AWS, and there are multiple programs that we can bring in. There is the AWS Educate program that provides a lot of credits for your schools to leverage. There is a number of student startup hackathons that we can bring in, that you can actually showcase your apps, provide additional credits for you. We have startup programs like Activate, which will again provide you a lot of support in terms of technical as well as commercial support. But that aside, it's important to know what's the problem statement that you're solving. And are you solving something that's a very unique problem statement, but topical to only one or two people, or are you solving something for the base of the pyramid? And for a country like India, where we are at 1.3 billion citizens, you would like to get an app that gets a very mass effect. I mean, today look at what we have with Arogya Setu. Right? Arogya Setu is a classic example, one that is being replicated across the globe. An app that was built in India, conceived, thought through, and now scaling up. So this is what we call as innovation at scale. Right? The app was really designed to be a COVID tracking and tracing mechanism. Now there are ways that it can be used for you to enter a place. So, the minute you say you're green, you enter the place. And there are people who are using this app, the API interface, to then bring it into their particular applications. And that sees the scale that you bring in. So it's very important to know what's the problem statement that you're solving. And some of the, I'll give you another example. This is very close to heart. There's an organization called Vadhwani AI. If you haven't heard of it, I would really encourage you to Google them up. And this organization does a lot of work in agriculture and in healthcare sector. They did something very simple in the healthcare sector. When a child is born, you weigh the child. So especially in rural areas, a lot of you would have noticed that they don't have access to hospitals. So somebody like a frontline health worker called an ASHA worker actually goes and weighs the child. The World Health Organization defines it very clearly that if the child is below 2.5 kgs, it means the child is malnourished. If it is about 2.5 kg, the child is perfectly fine. But what happens is when these ASHA workers go in, they have a lot of data to enter. So they end up entering a 2.5 kg for most of the entries there and move on, which means you have incorrectly recorded. And when we asked them, or when Vadhwani actually asked them, they said, well, we don't have the time to do it. One. Second, the apparatus given to us, which is a weighing scale, a spring balance that you might say, it's a very precarious balance to put a small child on it. Vadhwani said, hey, how can I solve this problem? It is a problem, but can I look at a very simple solution to this? And all they did was they deployed a simple app on a mobile application, which would take the picture of that infant, convert it into a 3D model, and tell you the weight of that child. Because they figured out that a child or a baby is typically 70% water and 30% mass. So a 70-30 ratio got them a near about accuracy of less than plus or minus 5% of accuracy around there. And they were able to get that data. So again, a very simple problem, but look at the mass impact it can have over the general healthcare for infants in India. Right. So I think, sir, to your point, that is something that's very inspiring to us. For the rest of people, as sir just mentioned that, what's been my journey around this. So yeah, like Rahul mentioned, we've come from corporate, right? So we've lived here for about 2 decades now. And I didn't begin as an AI professional. I actually began somebody who did his engineering, went and did some R&D on hard disk. This was way back in early 2000. Then decided, well, I will do consulting. And then I decided that, well, now is the time to actually try and do something around airports and airlines and shipping, etc. And then suddenly I decided one fine day that, AI, which is back in 2011, was the next thing. So I kept skilling myself. And that's how I kept pivoting at each point in time. So back in 2011, 2012, when AI was just picking up, is when I picked it up. So it's been a decade now in the journey to AI. And here I am in front of you. Back to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Kanishka. I think that was a fascinating insight into your own personal journey into innovation and into AWS and what you're doing currently. And yes, you're right. It is at the end of the day, how do you identify a problem that you see day in, day out? And how do you solve that problem using an app? Now, I come to Nirbhay. Nirbhay, this was very well articulated by Kanish. He said that identify a problem that you are very familiar and intimate with, and then start seeing how you can solve that problem. And when you develop an app is, after all, is going to sit on a mobile, or it's going to sit on a smartphone, or it's going to sit on some front-end device. But at the back end, you have an application or a server which is providing the data with whom that app is going to interact. How easy it is for a young student to develop an app, does he need to know also much about programming at the back end, or can he develop standalone apps which can be used by itself? And we have now launched several categories in which apps can be developed. It can be in education, it could be in using gaming, for example, for education and for entertainment. We have got a category for mental health. We have got a category for agriculture. You work for CGI. You have been seeing so many solutions being developed. And, as both Kanishk and Rahul mentioned, we were not lucky to do any app development. Forget about any app development. We were not lucky to do even any programming. We didn't have access to computers. By the time I came to IIT and I was studying in IIT, I used to have a bunch of decks, cards, which I had to punch my instructions and feed it into the computer. And if God help me, if that bunch of deck of cards fell down, and then I had to recreate the entire deck or reassemble the whole thing. So we have gone through those stages, but now young students are having all these plug and play technologies to develop app. So Nirbhay, what is your take on how does a young student go about developing an app, and how difficult is it for him or her?
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I think it's wonderful to have such a wonderful intellectual panel. I think it's also a pleasure to talk to the students. I think it's always learning curve, especially the young adults. More so in the space where you see yourself in 20 years back. I think if only I had an opportunity. I think that's what the call of the look at some of these. I think before I could hit the topic, I think I felt I could share a couple of things which are more from the field. Today, when I look at the pandemic itself, I think it's about 15, 20 years back when I used to work with the government school system, most of the public school system. I was part of a system where we used to implement the computer-aided learning program with the government, the public school system. And it was such a challenge to impart some of those because one, the teachers did feel that it was more about teaching through face-to-face. And it was all about saying that, I use chalk and talk was the best way of doing it. And today, when I look back, I'm talking about from the state that I worked in, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Orissa, some of the states where you didn't have any technology as such. But today, when I look back and see myself and same teachers with whom we worked with a great difficulty and challenges then, who are 10th grade, 12th grade pass outs. And when I look back and see myself as a teacher educator and someone in the technology right now, they are doing wonders. I think what also has happened is about it's all about necessity is mother of invention. I think that's what it matters for us right now. Think on your feet. It's what matters. While the front ending is something that you can always look around it, what matters is what goes in behind the scenes. One for sure, I think it's not about so much about do I have a solution, do I have everything in place. I think it's not so much about it. It's all about where do I begin and how do I begin quickly. That's more important. Do I have the problem statement in my hand, in my mind? That's one. The second, are there any viability? Are there any solutions that are already worked around it? Am I reinventing the wheel? That's something that you really need to keep in mind as young students. Look at around you. Do not accept something obvious that you already have some solution in your hand. Look, what if scenarios? Look, what is the other way of doing same thing in a different way? One. The second, count on the mentors. I think we have a good amount of support system. Unlike the previous years, right now, you count on as many mentors, be it from the academia, be it from the industry practitioners, or from the inventors itself. I think we have to bank upon them, and it's a time that you leverage such skill sets available. The third is more about the skill set, the technology per se itself. I think technology per se itself is not a challenge these days. I think you have to learn on the go. There's no time for us to relearn and unlearn. I think it's time, as long as you learn quickly and you are an on the go learner, I think you survive in this world. Similarly, case, I think I can relate with our own children who are listening today. Maybe about 6 months back, if the same set of children said that, hey, tomorrow onwards, let's learn online learning, I think none of them would have accepted this challenge at all. But today, if you look at 90+% of the children are online learning through technology. Teachers are virtual, students are virtual, and right now, as we are speaking, they are all virtual. I think this is where I say the beauty of necessity. I think it's all about that, being passionate. I think it's very, very important. Be passionate about what you are solving it. Do not accept something very obvious. Go beyond that. Explore further. Be curious. I think that's really helpful for us. If you are seeing something, a technology solution that's more curious, or you're seeing something that's obvious, I think it's not obvious. I think you need to go a little more, 2 level, 3 level deep dive and see it. Have passion enough. Do not fear of failure. I think fear of failure, you need to take it on your side and say that it's my part of my learning curve. Pick it up as a learning. Count on your support system, count on your mentors and teachers, and be fearless. I think that's something that really will take you forward. Do not be afraid of taking that steps and that, no, what happens to me if I fail? I think it's first, if you fail, it's a learning curve for you. Pick it up, learn, take the support from your peers. The last one is, I think, have a purpose. Have purpose in where this is going to helpful. Is it solving a larger problem? Am I creating new? Am I solving something that's really urgent? Do not aim to solve something that's beyond your reach. Look around you. There are plenty of problems. A country like ours is diverse. Be it agri, be it medical, be it education. I think you have got plenty of problems that are next to you. Talk to the farmer. You have got plenty of problems that they come to you. I think that's how I look at it, sir. More from an look around you, be passionate, question the obvious, be passionate. I think more on back end, count on your mentors, teachers, the forums like academia, inventor, inventions. Look at some of those. I think those will be much more handy than creating something obvious new. That those will be my thoughts. Look around, count on the support system that already there.
Thank you, Nirbhay. I think you brought out many aspects of what goes into becoming a great innovator. And first and foremost, as you rightly mentioned, it is curiosity. You should have tremendous amount of curiosity. You should have an ability and a passion for learning, a thirst for learning, because without all of this, you may want to develop an app, but you need to also dive a little deeper, as you mentioned. And when you dive deeper, in order to acquire the requisite knowledge and in order to understand the tools that can help you in developing the app, when you look, this curiosity also enables you to look at problems around you and say, which is a problem that I can solve using this app? And don't be over ambitious, as he said. I mean, try to solve a simple problem. In the process, you will start bringing more and more features that are there in the app, because you will start seeing, oh, this app can be used for this purpose too, or for that purpose too, and your app continues to expand. All great apps that you're using today started off with a very simple application in mind, like Twitter, for example. Twitter was, how do I send a message to the rest of the world in 120 characters or whatever, etc. That's what we were looking at. And at the end of the day, look at how Twitter has exploded in the marketplace. Facebook was all about, how do I connect to a few people who are my friends? And then look at where it is today. Google was, how do I get some more information from the web? A simple concept started off in a simple manner, but then it has exploded into a huge, and so on. So there are countless examples. But I also appreciate one point that he said, and that is the word fail. The word fail just means the first attempt in learning. So from my point of view, if I were you, I would not look upon this as something where I have to prove to the rest of the world. I would look upon this as an opportunity to become an innovator. And that journey is going to be an irreversible journey for you throughout your life. You're going to enjoy the joy of creating something. And failing along the way, but failing means the first attempt in learning. So you're only going to succeed in this journey. So it's great to get involved in this journey. Now I come to Drupal. Drupal, you are part of STEMpedia. First, tell us what is STEMpedia all about, and you have been part of the AI modules. You yourself are an AI expert. How does AI get integrated into any app development, and is it so complex that we can't understand, or is it easy today to be able to integrate AI into any app?
Okay, thank you, sir. It's a wonderful panel, and I think we worked previously as well on the AI module with SAP and AWS. It was great experience. So, STEMpedia is an edtech startup from CIA IIM Ahmedabad. We are graduates from IIT Kanpur, and we started off before our graduations. So, I would just like to share a small story here, because the first step for making anything or creating anything is about the ideation step. And this story will just help you to understand that. we were working on various robotics projects. We worked for some Kolkata robotics, like Kolkata surveillance police team, and like various industries like Reliance and so on. Like while all during our bachelor's, we were working, just exploring different things, and gradually we build up thing in our mind, like there is some space for developing an hardware which can help any beginner, either it's a kid or it's an adult or it's any even like we have even 80-year-old people in US who are learning robotics and this thing. So uh, the when we explore different things, we learn a lot, we gain experience, and we need to keep our eye open. Like everywhere you will be finding some small things in your neighborhood, in your digital world, like you watch lots of videos and lots of different news and all. Everywhere there can be some ideas which you need to pick up and which are unsolved. So that is how STEMpedia started, and in 2016, when we were in our last year at college, and we delivered the products before our graduations. So we figured out lots of things, how to work with industries, how to work with shipping channels, like, and at the same time, this demonetization was going on. So you need to gradually figure out different things while you explore this world. For young students, the main important thing is, I think it is discussed previously, curiosity, and then do not fear from failures or challenges. That is what we learned, and it was great experience, and that's how STEMpedia was born, and we are working on new stuff now to help students and young minds to make apps, to learn AI and coding, and we were part of the AI Step Up module program, and we are even doing the teacher training, and a codever competition for students is already, I think, circulated by the ATL team. Thank you for that.
Excellent, excellent, Drupal.
Yeah.
In fact, we have received rave reviews about the AI, both beginners module and step up module, not only from India but from other parts of the world. So it is amazing. I hope every student has gone through it or goes through it. And it's also not meant for the students alone. Even the teachers, the principals, the mentors can go through it. Many people who are not introduced to the world of AI will find it very, very useful. It's a very practical guide into how AI can be used in various situations and the tools and technologies available and the methodologies available to integrate it. Now, Nishigandha, you have been, involved not only in app development, but you have been involved in training, and you have been involved in conducting training program for the students as well as for the teachers and so on. And now, your whatever you have taught is going to be used by many of the students who have been able to avail themselves of your teaching or the teachings of all your other colleagues. My question is, there are many concepts that go into the design and development of a good app. One is design thinking. There's something called design thinking, because the better you do design, the better your app would be. What is all this design thinking all about, and how does a young student incorporate design thinking or when does he start integrating design thinking, he or she, into the app development process? And what are some of the other tools that they can use in order to develop a great app?
Yes. Thank you, Ramanan sir. It's been great being a part of this journey so far. And, through all the webinars, through our ATL app development module, I think students have a way to learn everything that Rahul, Kanishk, Nirbhay, Drupal talked about, whether it is integrating the fact that design needs to be really incorporated, like Rahul mentioned, the way Kanishk mentioned, plays a very big part in the way apps are consumed today, and the way Nirbhay said about taking failure in your stride and looking at a good problem to solve, and coming to your approach about how design thinking really fits into the picture over here. I think even though it's such an industry leading term, at the heart of design thinking when it comes to young students, it is being able to put themselves in the shoes of the person who is going to use their app. So if they are trying to solve somebody's problem, if they are picking up one of the challenges that are there in the challenge, and they're saying, okay, how can I create something for this? They have to think about, who am I making this for? Whose problem am I solving? And then when you put yourselves in that perspective, you are actually incorporating that thought into your solution. It is incorporated in everything. It is incorporated in the way your app is designed, because you will look at the intuitiveness of the interface that you're designing, keeping in mind who will use it. So all your navigation choices, all your UI choices, all your app design elements will all depend on that. Then from a backend perspective, are you gathering data? Where will your data go? Would you like to visualize that data? That is the other end of the puzzle, which happens behind the scene when it comes to app development. So design thinking can be incorporated by starting with this one small thought of, who is going to use my app, and then designing the app, coding the app, and testing the app from that perspective, so that it can truly be useful to the person whose problem you're trying to solve it. And I hope that that ATL app development module actually helps us do that. The moment Rahul and Kanishk and Nirbhay were speaking, Ramanan sir, I was instantly in my teacher's mode on, where I was looking at what are the courses in the app development module, and I was like, okay, design thinking, look at course number 2 and look at all the app development modules in it, elements in it, and see how each one is used, so that you can choose the right ones. The moment it was cloud data, I said, all right, you know how to use it, you know how to gather data and then visualize it. When it comes to failure, and when it comes to what you said about how it's just another step in learning, I think this is where, when you are developing an innovative challenge, you have to have tremendous courage and conviction in your idea. Because if you are trying to solve a problem in an innovative way, it is very likely that the solution you are proposing has not been around anywhere, and it might not be the most obvious choice. But if you believe in it, you have to have that conviction and the courage to power through it, and then learn along the way. I think that's one of the best ways to learn also, that I believe in my idea, I want to bring it to life, and I'm going to learn everything that is necessary to bring it to the prototype stage and test it out. So I think, this is how I think design thinking should be a part of the philosophy that students should use in creating an app.
Excellent, excellent, Nishigandha. That is indeed true. In fact, design thinking is all about, first is the empathy part. You put yourself into the customer's shoes and you experience the problem from their point of view. Say, for example, you're a farmer. Then you put yourself in the farmer's shoe and say, what are the problems that are affecting me? I don't have enough water for my field. I don't know when this climate is going to change. I don't have enough information about this particular crop. What are the fertilizers good for the crop? So put yourself in their shoes and you empathize. When you empathize with them, you understand, you talk to them, interact with them, and then you clearly define the problem. The next step is, out of this empathy and discussion and putting yourself in their shoes, you identify one or more problems that you can help solve. You can say, aha, this guy needs this information. Can I build an app to provide this information? Right? When you do that, you develop a prototype. This is called rapid prototyping in design thinking. You develop a prototype of a solution, and then you go and run it past the customer again and say, do you think this is capturing what you wanted? The person will say, oh yeah, not this exactly, I need this or I need that. So you go back to the drawing table, get back. This is what is that empathy part, the feedback, that you go and revise the prototype, go and redo it, come back, validate it, and then once you have validated to a point where the farmer says, yes, this is what I want, then you test it out. And once you test it out, that time you test it for scaling. Can it, I want 500 farmers to use it. I want 10,000 farmers to use it. So is my app robust enough to be able to take on that? And then you go ahead and implement it across, and it will automatically scale up and get implemented. So I think, these are all the techniques that you should use. We are going to be inviting questions from the audience now. I think there are a lot of questions which are coming. Ronak, can you share some of the questions with the panelists?
Yes. So one of the questions is, any of the panelists can answer this. Are there any best practices or regulations or ethics or lessons that we need to be aware about while developing an app in today's day and time?
Yeah, maybe I can start with, and others can comment as well from my practical experience. I would say, I think ethics is very important nowadays when we do talk about the AI or we talk about the app development, because the data is something which is very key to the every element, and especially when we look at the app development activity, you are kind of knowingly, unknowingly accessing the phone if you are planning a mobile app development, right? Or desktop app development is different, but you would allowed or knowingly you would get access of a personal and a private data of of a user, and you had to be very careful that how do you manage it, and should know your boundaries, that how it could be managed, because all the users, you can't assume like when they give you consent about, okay, I agree to give some amount of access, that everything that they read through your terms and condition and get it things there, right? So it's very important that you should design this boundary to yourself, what you need, just access it, and very mindful about the what is the personal and private data for that particular user, and not overstep the boundaries, otherwise you'll be in trouble as well when you design such kind of app. So that I would say.
Yeah, ethics is a very important part. How do you, and integrity and ethics should be accompanied with every technology that you innovate. Technology can be used for good or it can be used for bad. It can be used or misused. We have to see how, for example, that is why there was a big conference on AI for social empowerment and AI for good for all. AI can be used for good, or AI can be used for or misuse. Examples are that your personal biases may come in when you are developing a decision support system for some purpose, and your personal biases should not come in, because that would not be an ethical use of a technology to further a personal cause. So things like that. Yeah. Now go ahead with the next question, Rona.
Sure, sir. Uh, what is the role of an ATL in charge in this whole, or the teacher in this whole journey? This is a question from one of the teachers.
Okay, I should answer that question. The ATL in charge is going to play a very instrumental role in any of these initiatives. First and foremost, not only the ATL in charge, but the principal and the school management should encourage their students to participate in such challenges. I would like every school, every ATL who is out there, they have to have their students participate in the challenge and submit their innovations and submit their app, because that is how they are going to learn and they are going to become innovative going along. And it is not important that their app has to be a super wonder app or something like that. No, this pure act of acting on this and creating and submitting an innovation which is your product, your creation, is a very important part. And every idea is a very important idea, is a good idea. It will keep getting built on and the student will become better and better. The second is the ATL in charge should enable the mentors to actively participate in the app development process, because you have mentors. We have 4,800 mentors who are out there. Unless, and they are all professionals, they know what app development is all about. Many of them have actually probably developed apps. So you have to engage them, and you have to ensure that you reach out to the mentors, connect them through a webinar session like this. A school could organize a webinar session with between its students and a mentor, and they should have many webinar sessions like this on their own in order to submit the app. The third thing the ATL in charge should do is also ensure that the student, you are having some sort of helpline, so that if students are running into a problem, then see how you can provide a solution by reaching out to other ATL in charges. Talk to get every ATL in charge should be connected to at least 10 other ATL in charges, according to me, because you have that all the list in your network. So be connected and look at how they are doing, what they are doing, how they can solve a problem. Do they have access to a mentor who can solve the problem? Third is ATL in charge should also involve the vendors. There are many vendors who are providing training services. How do they get engaged? So it's all about you play a big role in encouraging the student. You play a big role in connecting them to various people who can help them. You also play a big role in connecting yourself to the number of other ATL in charges to learn from best practices of how they are approaching it so that your students can benefit from it.
I would just like to add one more point here.
Dhrup.
Okay, so I have seen, I work with lots of ATL, so I have met and interacted with lots of principals and teachers. So one thing we sometimes, I see the ATL in charges, we always fight to make something very big and very best, and sometimes we copy ideas from internet and different sources. They are of course good sources for ideas, but in this next 2030 world, the most important skills will be like the innovation and how do you learn new things. I think Kanishka mentioned about changing different fields and learning lots of he switched to AI at a little later age. So the thing was about learning new technologies. So why this app innovation challenge or coding or what all things are happening right now is to particularly foster how to learn a new skill. So focus on the ATL in charge should also focus on the students try to figure out it can be whatever small problem they are living in around, either it is rural area or urban area, there will be problems. So motivate the students to find out some very core problem, very innovative problem. That should be the first step. And then learn new things. Like we are not here to make everyone an app developer or AI expert, but the thing is how to learn new things, focus on that, and also how to innovate or how to conceptualize something or embark something from your own inner core. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Dhrupal. I think that is very important. You see, India is a country of 1 billion people with 1 million challenges, and those million challenges are all local challenges. So look at, don't try to copy something which is outside, which has already been developed somewhere. You can get an idea from there, no problem. Search the internet, look at what others have done, and say, hey, how do I apply it to my own situation here or the local environment? And this is where, the Honorable Prime Minister also said, he said, being vocal for local. Why being vocal for local? That means be vocal about solving local problems. And when you solve a local problem, it can go global. So this is not that it becomes only a local problem. It is a solution for a local problem is often a solution for a global problem. So I think you brought out a very important point, Dhrupal. Thank you for that. Yeah. Ronak, next question.
Yes, sir. Sir, for the sake of in the sake of brevity of time, I think this should be the last question. We have received a lot of questions from the students, and we are also responding to them via private chat as well. But this one important question which we would like you to answer is, this is a question from many of the students from across the schools and different ATLs and different non-ATLs as well. How many teams from a particular school can participate in the App Innovation Challenge?
Yeah, I think there is no number or limit on the number of teams that can participate. The more, the better. When we set up an ATL, we have 500 students at a minimum between grade 6 to grade 12. So, ideally, I would like all 500 to participate. That is what the purpose of this Adult Tinkering Lab is all about. And now, this particular contest is not open only to Adult Tinkering Labs, it is open to all the schools in India between grade 6 to grade 12. All of you can apply, right? And so I do expect, and I do hope that many teams will participate. Please restrict your teams to small sizes of 3 to 4 or 5 people. Don't have more than that, because then it becomes unmanageable to be able to develop an app with more than 4 or 5 people contributing their ideas. But have many of these. You can submit multiple applications if you have, you have the capacity and you have the ability to develop it. Please do that, and that's not a problem. I have one question to all the panelists. What would be your message to the young students, inspiring them to apply and innovate for this app development? Just your one message, because each of you is representative of an industry that is leveraging apps and is going to leverage apps in the future. So, looking even from your company or your industry point of view, what is that one message that you can give that this is going to open up this for you? Start with Rahul, or we'll start with Kanishk and Nishigandha and Nirbhay, and then we'll end it up with Dhrupal and Rahul.
So I think the one major thing that we will see, right, of this entire app challenge is obviously the great set of ideas. Like Nishigandha said, that there is no one idea that is going to be a bad idea. All ideas are good. They're all a culmination and a step process in your ideation. So maybe your specific idea will not make it through to the finals, right? But sometimes there is a step effect that comes on each of the ideas that you build in. So somebody said, well, I will be able to build something that will help me get a route tracing of buses in a particular location. And somebody says, oh, if you can do that, can I look at crowdsourcing and getting data of where will congestion happen? And beyond that, somebody suddenly says, can I give you an optimal route on top of that? So it's all going to be a stepwise building on it. Sure, there will be some apps that will make it to the finals and possibly to the eventual challenge. But what we will be looking at is what are those real nice sparks that will come off each one of your teams that we can take on. And Ramanan sir will agree, I'm sure, so will the other panelists agree on this. There have been many times where we have actually, yes, there have been 5 winners, 6 winners that have come off the app challenge, but a lot of us actually have gone through all those who didn't make the list, but still we went ahead and spoke to that person and saying, you were trying to solve this problem. Can I give you some more support to help you build this problem better? Can I give you the relevant resources to make it better? It didn't see the light of the day on that particular day, but it is definitely a problem I want to solve by building and helping you further. So that's what I would look at. I'm looking at all of the challenges coming through and not just the top 3, top 5.
Excellent. Nishigandha?
So I would like to say that, my message to all the students, all the community of teachers who are mentoring, helping students would be that when I was the age of all these participants, I never thought that I am a part of the narrative that is defining the future of the world. I was just another school student. Even when I was doing my engineering, I was just another engineering student trying to learn computer science and get into it. Only when I stepped into my first job as a C++ developer on Unix, I felt like, oh, what I'm doing is actually contributing to a product and it's coming to something. And that, that feeling grew over my corporate experience. And then I jumped into entrepreneurship, and then I jumped into teaching. And then I said, oh my God, now that we have a platform for students to learn programming, I always feel that this is what is the amazing thing for all of you. You have the opportunity at such a young age to become a part of something which will be there in future. And isn't that such an exciting possibility? Even now, as a grown up with 20 years of experience over industry and academia, I find this possibility so exciting when I see something that we have developed in the hands of thousands of students, and when I see teachers in my training and responding to something. So I'm pretty sure that as students, you're all excited. Like Kanishk said, it's not important to just aspire to be the winning team, and if you do win, that's fantastic. But telling your story, putting across your solution is one of the best things to do. And now that you have the resources to do this in this amazing ATL and AIM environment, you have all these amazing resources that allow you to learn and apply everything that you're learning in the form of such challenges. So I'm going to say, do not miss the opportunity to become a part of something which will become real in the coming future. So it's just, very, very exciting for me. And I hope most of the students do it.
Excellent. Wonderful. Nirbhay and Dhrupal and Rahul, we are coming close to the planned time. So a short inspiring message from each of you.
Yeah, so for my end, it's going to be, I think, be passionate. Do not not to be afraid of anything. Be willing to take the failure on your side, and look for solutions or this problem statement from your immediate surrounding. That's where you will be able to connect and address something that's immediate needs. That's being local.
Excellent, excellent. Dhrupal?
Yep. Rather than a message, I would leave a small tip on planning stage first. Like in app development, there will be planning stage, development stage, planning, then and what is called UX and what is the design stage, then will be development and support. If you focus first on the planning, you will be very clear what you need to make, and then your ATL mentor or your ATL in charge will surely help you to make those things.
Great.
So focus on planning.
Great. Rahul?
Yeah, so just to be, a small suggestion is that be convinced about what problem you're trying to solve and be passionate about that, right? Once you believe in the problem that you are trying to solve and it's a real problem that you in hand that you're trying to solve, you will find out way to make it happen. As Kanish said, and others said, it's not important that whether you win or not win, but be passionate about the problem, be sure about what solution you are trying to come about. I think everything will fall in part, in the right direction. It's just a starting point, I would say. And who knows, we would have another excellent app like Uber or, any other global app that we see might come up out of this challenge. So all the best.
Wonderful, Rahul. If I may summarize what I heard just now, Kanishk said, any good idea will find reception. So we are not here thinking about winners. We are looking at good ideas. And if you have a good idea and a good app, whether you are a winner or not, you will continue to get supported and encouraged by the system. And that's what all of us will ensure. Nishigandha said, you are going to become part of the future of the country, and you are architecting the future of the country. So you should be, as the great Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change that you want to see. And you have the opportunity to wrought that change upon our country and upon the world. Nirbhay was very clear. You have to be passionate about it. This is not something that you do because you have been asked to do something. There is nothing like you have been forced to do it. Be passionate about it. Let the passion for your solution express itself. When you're passionate about anything, you will automatically spend the time, you'll find the discipline, you'll find the energy, you'll find the sources for the information, and your solution will come. And Dhrupal said a very important thing. You can dream about everything, but unless you have an action plan, unless you do the planning properly, and unless you say, what is it that I am going to do? How am I going to do it? Have some clear milestones. How am I going to do the design thinking part? How am I going to do the prototyping part? Have a clear plan of action. If I have 4 members in my team, what is each person going to do so that this app is going to be very effective? And finally, Rahul said, be convinced about whatever you're doing. Be bold and be confident about yourself. The great Swami Vivekananda said, if you have belief in 1,000 gods and goddesses but do not have belief in yourself, you're doomed. So you need to have that extraordinary belief in yourself and conviction in yourself. And when you have that, your app is going to make a difference. Thank you so much, everybody, for the panelists, for a wonderful session. I learned a lot. I feel very inspired based upon what you have all said. There are many things that you have said applies to me and my team. So we are going to apply that to ourselves. But I really want to thank you for spending your valuable time and giving valuable advice to all the young students, the innovators, the future job creators of our country, as well as the teachers, the principals, the parents, and everybody else who has logged on. Thank you to the ATL Innovation Mission team. who have been instrumental at the back end in making all of this possible. And thank you everybody else who is contributing to the cause of the innovation bandwagon of our country. Have a great evening. Have a great weekend. Be safe. This is Ramanan, Mission Director of ATL Innovation Mission, thanking you all once again and wishing you a very good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.